Hey everybody, welcome back to Bookish Daddy. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. If you've been watching my content, welcome back. Uh, I hope you're enjoying what I'm putting out, and I'd like to thank you all for engaging in all the content and all the likes and subscriptions. Man, y'all are just blowing this out of the water. Speaking of engaging, the TBR that I did some polls on Instagram to vote for my TBR. So you all chose what I'm going to be reading this month. Uh, that was super fun. I'm going to have to do it again. It was really fun. But before we get into that, I was going to do the wrap up of June. That being said, I'll start off with last video, I believe, last week. I did an indie author only month or 2 weeks or whatever it may be. Uh, but those were a part of the video. So for those of you who may not have seen, I'm going to go over those a little bit as well. The first being Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale. And this is the book cover. Such a fun read. I went over this, but I'll go over it a little bit. It is a dragon shifter book. It is not YA. It is pretty filthy. So it is an adult paranormal romance. And it is fated mates and mafia vibes. So like mafia dragons, if that makes sense. Uh, Dude, this was a fun read. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars. Uh, One of the best indie books I've ever read. Really, all the indie books I read this month were a blast to read. They're good palate cleansers. If you're looking for something to pick up that has tons of smut and shifters in it, Twilight of Embers is your book. So that's the first one. The next book I made a mistake on. So it is Dungeons and Drama, and it is by Christy Boyce. So I put that this was an indie author book, but the author reached out and corrected me and let me know that she won best indie book of the year with this book. So everywhere you look or any Goodreads you're on, it says that it's an indie book, but it's not. It's published now. Uh, but if you're looking for a short, fun read, this was another 5 star read. So this book is YA romance, and it really is YA. There was nothing like filthy in it at all. Matter of fact, I really appreciated that the language wasn't bad. Nothing in it was bad, and it was such a cute romance. So this young girl's parents are divorced, and she has to go stay the summer with her dad, and he owns a bookshop where in the back they play D&D. And she's not into like games like that. She's not very nerdy, but she is a part of like theater and music in school. So she stumbles into the D&D room and really enjoys it and starts playing. And this one, I'll give away the trope. If you don't want to hear it, you can skip. It's fake dating, and it is so much fun to read. Again, that's Dungeons and Drama, and she just announced the second book is coming out, and I think it was February. Oh, I cannot wait to get it because they're fun, they're quick, and really her writing is just so cute. It's such a cute book. I really enjoyed this book. And then the last indie author book that I read was Homecoming by Jake Weidmer, and that is the cover. This one is a local author. He's in Pittsburgh. He works at my Barnes and Noble. I got a hold of his book. You can get it on Amazon. This is a thriller. It's not YA. It does have a lot of violence and a lot of cursing. This is about a soldier with 10th Mountain, comes back from Afghanistan and finds out that his hometown the cops have become corrupt and drugs have overrun the town. And he starts fighting back, him and a local deputy. Uh, Again, I gave this one 5 stars. It was such a fun read. He's a new and upcoming author. I think he's got 2 books in the series and a novella out and working on the fourth. And it's a good book if you like thrillers, if you like nitty gritty, like just straight to the violence, this is it. Next will be not an indie author book. So that's the indie author books I read this month. And then I've got The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. And this is the pretty version of the book. This book is a YA Slytherin romance book. And I had never read a Slytherin romance and didn't really know what to expect, but I really liked the villains kind of being the main characters and getting away with stuff. And during the romance in this, certain things would happen, and I'd be like, "Oh no, they're gonna get mad or whatever." And everyone was just uh, savage enough that it really was like a Slytherin romance. So it was super cute, but it was also very different as far as a romance goes. And I thought it was just a ton of fun to read. This was another 5-star read. Super, super fun read. This one is a young lady. She wants to be like super powerful. So the Shadow King in their realm uh, is single, and she comes up with a plan to go to his ball, kind of like in Cinderella, except instead of like winning him over, she's going to win him over with the intentions of killing him and taking his throne. But he ends up being just as like shadowy and dark, and it's super, super fun. The last book I read this month is the best book I read, and probably one of the best books I've ever read, and it is Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. And this is the book, and it is thick. This is what I spent most of my month doing and reading, because it is a monster of a book. But like the artwork in it is super cool. The I'll get into this a little bit. I don't want to do spoilers, but I have to like talk about it a little bit because it's phenomenal. The amount of emotion it was allowed to like elicit out of me. I haven't like cried in a book maybe ever. Like once or twice I'll get teary eyed or I'll get sad, but this one was devastatingly brutal. So it is a grim, dark fantasy about vampires. Uh, this I keep saying, and it's such a perfect representation. This is The Witcher meets Interview with a Vampire. So it starts off. The main protagonist is in a cell, and someone comes up and is like, "It's time to tell your story." So this is like written from his point of view and how he kind of fell into the spot he's in. Uh, this took vampires and made them like the very essence of what they are. Like, there's no cutesy, fun vampires. There's no like just wooing you to have fun with you or anything like that. They are brutal vampires. They are like rip you to shreds, no mercy, dangle hope in front of your face vampires. And kind of the magic system in this is if your parents or a human or someone like that sleeps with a vampire and you're able to give birth, you have like a hybrid. And these hybrids have been taken by the local, like the church, the Catholic churches, or in this is not Catholicism, the local, the religion in this, the church, bring them to the cathedral and raise them to fight demons and monsters and vampires. And they're like a holy crusade of like what would be monsters trying to like fight their way into heaven, or hoping above all else that they don't like fall to their dark urges. uh Holy cow, I gave this 6 stars. It is one of the best books. The only book I was like debating with is Mistborn, which is like my favorite trilogy ever. And this was just, I'm not even really into like grim dark books, but his writing, Jay Kristoff's writing, was insane. The artwork throughout the whole thing is beautiful. The storytelling, it's just, I'm telling you, you have to read it if you like dark, morose, and sad books. There is nothing. It's so funny. At one point, I was like, probably like that far into the book, and my wife looks over. She's like, "Is anything good happening?" I was like, "No, not at all. It's devastating, but it's in a good way. It's so fun to read, and I highly recommend it. I just started the second book. What was that last week, and it is off to a great start too. I cannot wait for the third one to be announced and come out so I can finish the trilogy. I got to finish the second book, but dude, it's so fun. Now, to get to what a lot of you are probably waiting for, and that is the TBR video that you all helped me pick my TBR books for July. To do this, I put up a poll on Instagram. I came to my booktube page and announced that I was doing it. I hope that you all were able to go vote. It was pretty good. Most of the books, I think, had like 60 votes, 65, 70 votes on it. Nothing crazy. Uh, I did this because I saw another booktuber, Sarah Caroli, do this a while back, and I did like one of my TBR videos, and it was super fun. And so I rewatched hers a couple times, and it's just such a fun and cool video. I'm sure y'all are following her; she's huge. But if not, go give her a follow. She's awesome. Her videos are fun, and that's kind of where I got the inspiration for this video from. With all that being said, we'll get into it. So the first book is the one on the left, and I kind of did. I say I, my wife heavily did this with me. So she loves doing the little emojis and searching and going through the book and like really like picking for them. I chimed in and tried to help. I'm not as like creative as far as like the emojis go, but it was a team effort with her kind of pulling the team. It was really fun though. So the first book, the one on the left, it was so hard to do. So there's a tree and like a cross, like two little hammers over here, and I only did that because there was no real way to do it. So the book is Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. She's the one that did The Shadows Between Us, I believe. And it's a YA book, a YA Viking book about an 18-year-old who has trained her whole life to become a warrior. And she ends up getting sabotaged of some sort, and her dad like banishes her to the wild forest where there's like all these monsters and creatures. It's a standalone, and it is supposed to be really, really good. I've been hoping to read this, but it was so hard. The emojis, they don't have axes, Viking helmets, not even I couldn't even find like a Viking ship or shield. So I went with the wilderness and what I thought would be close to an axe. I mean, I know they had a fireman one, but then y'all would have really ran wild with it, thinking I'm reading some sort of smutty fireman book. But that was this one. The book on the right is A Little Queen's Head and a Rose. Uh, this is a book. I'm betting y'all thought this was something else because there are quite a few romances and YA books that have that kind of vibe to them. But this is a book I didn't know anything about. My daughter got it for me for my birthday, and it is called Violet Made of Thorns with Gina Chen. And see, it has roses all over the front, and it's about a queen. So this is about a prophet in a kingdom for a king, and she kind of instead of prophesizing, she starts like lying and mixing in to get what she wants, and accidentally unleashes a curse somehow, and she has to deal with the repercussions of all like her nonsense. And now she's kind of damned the kingdom by being selfish, it seems. It's a small book. It looks super fun. It sounded cute. Those are the two books, and that's kind of why I picked the emojis. That being said, I'll throw it up, a little picture, and you can see who won. The one on the right, the one with the queen and the rose, Violet Made of Thorns, is the one that won. So this will be added to the TBR, and it blew it out of the water. I don't know if it's because I chose the hammers or because this had a queen and a rose, and y'all are all Romance Kingdom people, but this won by a lot. It was like 67%, I believe. 62% is how much it won by. All right, the next two, I'll throw them up here, are the teapot and the dagger on the left, and then on the right, we've got the garlic and the mage. So the one on the left has a dagger and a teapot, and in case you couldn't guess it, I think it was pretty close. It is Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne, and that is the book. And this is a cozy fantasy about it's so funny, and I guess I can bring it up now. In a previous video, I was talking about this, and I could not. They're on the couch. It's about a guard and a wizard, and one of them likes tea, and the other likes books, and they decide to open like a tea bookshop together. And in the video, I'm sitting here going back and forth all about because the writing on the back was confusing. And I'm like, well, I think this one's the boy and this one's the girl, and this one, they're both girls. I know I sounded ridiculous, especially for those who maybe knew what it was about. I did not. I thought it was a guy and a girl, but it is two girls that want to open a tea shop and a bookstore together, and it is a cozy fantasy. So that is the one on the left. And then the one on the right, I did Garlic and a Mage, and it is Dreadful by Caitlin Rozakis, and that is the cover. And this is a book I have been dying to read. So it is another cozy fantasy. I figured I'd pit the two together and may the best one win. This is about a wizard who wakes up on the floor all confused and looks around, and he notices he's been like blown up and singed, and he wonders like why there's a princess captured next to him locked up, and why everybody's doing what he says, and finds out later that he's the villain in a fantasy novel, and he's trying to figure out what happened and who he is and what he should be doing. Sounds so funny. I cannot wait to read this. So it's a cozy fantasy that with humor in it. And for all of you to see which one won, it is, I'll throw it up, the one on the left. So Can't Spell Treason Without T. I'm kind of sad about that. I want to read both really bad, but this other one sounds so funny. But we're going to add this one to this month's TBR. All right, put the next two up. We have A Heart and Money. And then right here, we have a girl with a veil and a guy saying no to it. So the one on the left with the heart and the money is The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, and it is a romance novel. I did not know anything about this one. My wife has been wanting me to read this. From what I gather, this man and woman are both engaged and they're wanting out of it. And so they make a wager to see who will quit first, and they're sabotaging each other, trying to get the other to like drop the engagement first. Supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be a really, really good romance. And that is the first book. I don't know much else about it. The second one is You Deserve Each Other. And that's kind of apparent. I mean, I think this fits the emoji she picked perfectly. The little veil and the guy saying no. So this is when your nemesis also happens to be your fiance. Happily Ever After becomes a lot more complicated in this wickedly funny lovers to enemies romantic comedy debut. So they're both romantic comedies. I'm gonna try and read one of these this week. I think maybe this week or next week. The one that won is The Love Wager. If I probably did that backwards, but this is the one that won, and it's the one getting added to the TBR. And then the last one. This was the one I was most excited about because I want to read both these books so bad. This one was such a close race. It was like 70 people or 71 at the end, something like that. But it kept going back and forth, one vote at a time, the entire vote. It was down to the last vote on this. So if you hopped in or chimed in on this one, you made a huge difference in what I'm going to be reading this month. The first one over here is the wolf and the red cloak, and the other is the school and the snake. The one on the left, this one matches the theme 100%. It is For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, and this has been on my TBR probably longer than any of these books. I bought this forever ago because it had the deckled edges, and it's got a really cool cover, and it sounds awesome. So the back says the first daughter is for the throne, the second is for the wolf, and it's got very high praises. It is just a fantasy, just a adult fantasy, and that's about all I know about it. But it's supposed to be really, really good, and that is the first one. The one on the right is another book that's been on my TBR for a long time, and it is A School and a Snake. And this one I bet y'all could probably guess too. It's a big name book, and it is Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. Bardugo. That is the book. This book is a dark academia book, and I think I've been telling y'all I've been dying to read an academia book, and especially a dark one. That sounds awesome. So this is the one that got pulled. I'm not going to tell y'all about this one because I don't want to know. I want to go into this completely blind. I know nothing about it. I just know it's dark academia, and I'm going to leave it that way for this one. Down to the Wire. And the one that won, throw it up here, it's the one on the right, which my wife is furious with all of you. So if you voted for this, just know that you made her angry, which isn't a good thing. But you made me happy because this is the one I kind of wanted to read more. I'm very excited about it. This other one will make it onto the TBR very soon, though, because she's been wanting me to read it. I've been putting it off for like months, but I'm dying to read this one. So if you voted for this, thank you. But know that she's mad with you. She's not happy. That does it for the TBR video. So those four that I picked, I'll grab them and go over them again real quick, even though you all just saw them. So we're going to be doing Ninth House as one of the books, The Love Wager as one of the books, Can't Spell Treason Without T as one of the books, and Violet Made of Thorns as the final book. And then, as you all know, like I said earlier, I am on the second book, Empire of the Damned. So the second one to Empire of the Vampire. I'm going to try and finish it. I don't know. I might bounce back and forth between chapters on these because they are all pretty small and nice little palate cleansers for when I get too depressed. Dude, thank you all so much for joining in on this. It made for a super fun video, and me and my wife love doing the little emojis and trying to think. It's really fun to sit there and not just go over the books, but try and find something to match the cover. It's a little harder than I thought it would be. But luckily, she's very good at it. I think she did a very good job describing each one with just two emojis. Maybe next time I'll do three emojis. We'll really get wild with emojis on the book. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope the next time I do this that more of you will vote. Like I said, we've got almost 800 subscribers, and 60 of you went and voted. I know it's on Instagram, but it's very hard to do it like cross-platform. I'm probably going to stick with the Instagram. If you're not on there, it's just Bookish Dad. Just take the Y off. It doesn't sound as like cringy. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you all for voting, and have a great week.